What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Locked In Sports Podcast. I'm William Locke, and joining me today is Luis Barranco. Luis, how you doing?
How you doing? What's going on? Happy well, this comes out midweek, right? Before the Korea series, right? Correct.
Yeah. This is dropping Monday morning. And we're going live right now on obviously today's Sunday. So
it's St. Patrick's Day. How you doing? St. Patrick's Day in Chicago. If you weren't in Chicago yesterday or today for St. Patrick's Day, you're an uncultured swine. Because I feel that's what everybody did this weekend was in St. Patrick's Day.
It was a busy Saturday in Chicago. Today's a big. I didn't do anything. I was chilling yesterday at the apartment. Went to the gym. I don't know. I mean, just being in a bar packed with people, super hot, drinking at 7 a.m. It was fun in college for sure, but I'm kind of past that point in my life where that's fun.
You don't have to be in a bar. You can see the water. Like Chicago is one of those places that it's just like they actually do something other than like, do
other than the drinking. Yeah. And I did that last year. I saw the lake get dyed last year. I didn't do it this year.
It was too cold?
No, I don't know. I just didn't feel like doing it this year.
Is it pretty?
It's a lot. It's all right. I mean, there's a lot of people, so it's big crowds and everything like that. Today's a huge sports day. I mean, obviously, first of all, if you're listening to this live, thank you. If you're, nursing a hangover right now, I hope it passes quickly. And then we got conference tournaments, conference championship games today. We got Selection Sunday, and we do have our fantasy baseball draft tonight. So big day.
Like, seriously, this is going to sound really bad because I'm like very interested in our league this year. I forgot it was today because I woke up, like, I've been busy all weekend. Like, I've been out and about. Like, yesterday I hit the gym. It's like one of the, like, this is probably the last weekend in Miami. Like, you guys came in the penultimate last good weekend in Miami.
Why?
Because it starts to be 90 degrees tomorrow. Full-blown sun. I went to do my Sunday morning conditioning class, and oh my God, I felt like I was going to die. Like, I was just absolutely just wrecked. Like, I literally did the class, picked up my bagels, sandwich, a bagel, yep. Picked them up, ate them, showered, and I woke up like within the 65th minute of the Tottenham Fulham game yesterday, seeing 3-0. I was like, oh God.
Tottenham got pumped. And then also yesterday we did have the Justin Fields trade. Caleb Williams is a Bear. Caleb Williams is going to Chicago, baby.
We don't need to get it. We don't need to get into that. This is probably the most emotion you've shown for a Bears season. I had more emotion. I held the whole group chat together. I'm not a Bears fan, but I held the group chat together with Bears emotion with Justin Fields. Y'all just
I'm finally excited for the Bears season.
Yeah,
I'm finally excited. And I wish Justin Fields the best. Obviously, I mean, if we're being honest, the Bears kind of screwed him over, sending him to Pittsburgh, where he's going to be a backup to Russell Wilson.
Why?
Because he's going to be a backup to Russ.
Man,
they already announced it.
Yeah, where was he going to start? Exactly.
Minnesota? But they weren't going to trade him. So
they were going to trade to Minnesota, and that'd be such a Bears move. Send them to like in division just to get pumped twice a year by him.
I mean, do you think that Russ is going to lose his job to Fields eventually?
No, they'll probably tutor him and then pump him up to the starting lineup, and that's it.
It's a good guy to learn from.
Yeah. Whatever. That's football.
You seem distraught about it. You seem distraught. You're a big Justin Fields guy, and now
I'm a Fields defender. Just see how Bears fans are treating him. Like you Bears fans. I feel like you're Ohio State fans.
Bears fans there's a lot of Bears fans that are devastated that he got traded.
Exactly. I feel like
but if you could only get a 6th-round pick, it's like, okay, how good is he if the league doesn't even value him that much?
Because how are you supposed to succeed in a system where you've switched up,
Hey, I'm just saying, Caleb Williams Caleb Williams won a damn Heisman with no defense and no offensive line. So it's
Yes,
possible
it
to be
is.
good without good pieces around you.
Oh my god, we're not gonna get.
Hey, I'm
into that.
telling you, man, Caleb Williams is the
What,
future. The Bears
what
are
other
back.
sports events do we have today? I mean, spring breakout was like we can talk about a lot of soccer.
You want to talk about MLB marketing Livy Dunn like Taylor Swift to the
there we
NFL?
go. There we go. That's a perfect entry to baseball. There's a lot of things that went down last week in the baseball world. I mean, the whole Livy Dunn thing. It's like, bro, it's like
How much
I sent you the meme over chat with Armand. It was like, bro, what the like the guy like, brother, what is this? Like, oh my god.
Not the funniest part about that post, it was Livy Dunn, the famous TikToker, is dating Paul Skeens, who's on the Pirates.
Hey, put some respect on her name. She's not a famous TikToker. She does more than just TikTok.
She's a gymnast. She is a gymnast at LSU.
She's an LSU gymnast, an SEC gymnast. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Like you can, like it's just kind of like we talk about pitchers like, oh, he's garbage, but he's a major league pitcher. And how difficult is it to become a major league pitcher? Think about it.
I know. It's a good point. She is a very talented gymnast. And I've actually watched her because Kayla really likes gymnastics and we watch it sometimes. Anyway,
her gymnastics.
I can't. I'm not sure.
Is it quality or is it like big average? Are we talking like top of division like LA Dodgers, or we're talking like Colorado Rockies? All hype, you know.
I mean, LSU is, I think they're top 10 in the country, so they have a pretty good team. I don't know about Livy specifically. Anyway, we're getting away from the point.
Well, that's what I'm asking, but it's a perfect segue.
She's dating Paul Skeens, and the MLB had this post where they like Livy Dunn posted a TikTok or something of her watching Paul Skeens on a laptop that looked like it was from 2008, by the way. She's making millions of dollars. Like, she can get a better laptop than that.
That laptop looked like a Toshiba G3000.
It looked like one of those laptops that they provided us in middle school at Los Angeles.
Toshiba compact, you know, gateway laptop. That was a gateway laptop, man. You know.
And she was like, and what did she say? I don't remember the caption exactly, but she was like having so much fun watching Paul Skeens, my boyfriend, pitch or whatever. And like it was on TikTok, it was on Instagram, and MLB like reposted all of it, and it was so obvious that it was like some type of partnership they were doing, the prearranged post and whatnot. But he did look good. I mean, he struck out Jackson Holiday, so
I mean that's the freaking future. Jackson Holiday and Paul Skeens, that's the freaking future of Major League Baseball. I mean, there was a lot of other prospects that did spring breakout. Did you get the chance to watch spring breakout this weekend? I personally did not. I was what did I watch? I watched a bunch of soccer yesterday, and I've been watching college basketball. I was watching Illinois, the Illini.
I watched a little bit of that Pirates game, a little bit of the Marlins game. I don't remember who they were playing. Because Noble Meyer was pitching.
Well, that's actually a good segue. The Marlins. You hear the big news coming out of Marlins camp?
What?
So Yuri pitched this week, and he broke his fingernail or had a nail issue, which is actually pretty big. Big when you grip like a curveball or any pitch, like it does get in the way. So he broke the nail. There's something with his nail, and then the next day they're like elbow soreness. So it's not looking like Yuri's going to be there for opening day.
Yeah, which is tough for them. I already bet they're under, but yeah, that's
well.
tough.
He's experiencing elbow soreness and experiencing to undergo testing, imaging.
He was on the innings limit last year because he's a younger pitcher. So that's tough. That's tough. Also, going back to the Pirates, I mean, they signed Michael A. Taylor and Domingo Germán, so they've been sneakily active.
A lot of things went down with the teams that we talked about. So Michael Taylor's not bad. They also signed Domingo Germán. I don't know if you saw that, to a minor league invite. Which, I mean, granted, there is things with Domingo that we do not need to touch on this podcast. But I feel like if
wait. Sorry. The Pirates. Did you see Aroldis Chapman's Instagram story?
I briefly saw it. I didn't care much for it. I was like, I
never want to see that again. But it did happen.
But they got Domingo on a minor league contract. So regardless, that's something like that. Like that's pretty decent. And then we have to talk about Dylan Cease. I mean, 10 minutes into the podcast, and we haven't talked about the biggest news of the week. Obviously,
well, let's talk about Cease when we get to the pods, because they're on this podcast.
Okay, I forgot the Padres are on this podcast. I was thinking White Sox.
Yeah. So NL West. You want to just dive in?
Because I mean, those are the moves. I'll give my little rundown of this division. So the NL West is clearly the division that a lot of people forget that the Diamondbacks actually made the World Series. This is going to be like one of those years where it's going to be like 2013 or 2014 World Series, where the 2014 World Series, no, it's a 2013. It's going to be like the 2013 where why can't I get these years right?
Which one? Who was playing?
It's going to be like the 2015. I was a year or two off that the Mets were in a World Series.
Yeah, that was 2015 Royals Mets.
Yeah, Royals Mets. That it's going to be like one of those years, like when you go back in baseball lore, that you're going to be like, oh wait, the 2023 World Series was the Arizona Diamondbacks. Like, whoa, how did that happen? In a year where you had Atlanta really much was scorching hot, like the whole year. You had a Dodger team, which is, it wasn't the strongest Dodger team, but it was still a strong Dodger team. And then you had Philadelphia, Philadelphia, if you're just a casual, has all the names: Craig Kimbrell, Harper, and like Trey Turner. But regardless, the Diamondbacks did make the World Series. People do forget that. You have the offseason World Series champions, the LA Dodgers. You have the Padres, who were back-to-back, or did not retain their offseason world champions title, which they for everything that they've done this offseason, which we'll get into later, it's really interesting. And when you look at this division on paper, you have the Dodgers, the Diamondbacks, the Padres, and then the Giants also spent quite a bit. Like those four teams are actually very much quality. Like I feel like if you were to put them in any other division, for example, you would put them in the East, they would be competitive to win that division. And I feel like they would win the Central like outright by 5 to 10 games easily. And then you have your cellar dwellers, the Rockies, which we might as well just get into them. But if you're looking for a team that you want to put some money on, I feel like this is the division that you like put the money on, like best to represent the NL. Because it's going to be a gauntlet between this and the East. I feel like top to bottom, this has more quality than the NL East.
I think yes, because you have 4 teams that you would not be surprised that make the playoffs. Whereas, in my opinion, in the NL East, you probably have 2 teams that you would be surprised if they didn't make the playoffs, and then 3 other teams that are kind of middling to bad.
Well, the thing about it is that the NL West, those 4 there's more quality, but the top tier quality is in the NL East. Now, when it comes about like the bad teams in that division, the NL East has better bad teams. Like they won't be bad, but they won't be like as bad as the Rockies.
The Rockies. Yeah, let's start with the Rockies.
You want to take lead on the Rockies?
Sure. They finished 59-103 last year, which was good enough for dead last in the National League West. Their offseason was pretty, quiet. They signed some guys to minor league deals. They brought in Jacob Stallings and Dakota Hudson as major league signings. Other than that, not much. They lost Tommy Doyle, Chase Anderson, Brent Suter, and they did trade for Cal Quantrill from the Guardians, so they bring in another arm there from Cleveland. Obviously, really tough to be a pitcher in Colorado. But if you're looking at their lineup, it is pretty much the same as last year. And I will say I kind of like this lineup and expect some internal improvement from them again this year. So Charlie Blackmon leading off, lefty, going to be 38 this year. been there since 2008. He's been in their org for quite some time. Chris Bryant, first baseman, need a big season from him. Stay healthy because the guy has not played. Nolan Jones in left, who I think could actually develop into a star, came over via trade with Cleveland in 2022. You got Brendan Rodgers back for a full season playing second. He obviously missed last year, most of it with a dislocated shoulder. Third base, Ryan McMahon. Catcher, Elias Diaz. Right field, Sean Bouchard. Shortstop, Ezekiel Tovar. And center fielder, Brenton Doyle. Doyle is actually one of the better, if not the best, defensive center fielder in all of baseball. So there's actually some talent in this lineup. And they got Jacob Stallings coming in off the bench, the catcher they signed from Miami. I believe he actually won a Gold Glove in Pittsburgh. So decent catching platoon there in Colorado. But what are you looking for? Who are some guys kind of you're targeting in this Colorado lineup? Because I actually do think it's respectable. It's not awful. It's better than Oakland.
I don't know. I think Oakland produced. Bro, you haven't seen what Oakland's done in spring training. Oakland's been on fire this year.
I just don't put it. I personally don't put any stock into spring training.
There's some dudes that just are stinking up right now.
Javier Baez,
which I know he's Russell Westbrook of baseball. But regardless of the fact, they have a lot of I don't want to say the word failed prospects, but they have a lot of top prospects that didn't live up to the hype. So, for example, Nolan Jones is one of those guys.
Whoa. He's good.
Yeah, but he's not living up to the hype from the Cleveland system. In the Cleveland system, he was like a top 5 guy.
I think he's going to live up to the hype this year.
We'll see. I mean, there's nothing to build around with this team. That's the thing. It's just you do have to keep in mind that in a place like Colorado, you have to build a team that's, their outfield has to be athletic, because that outfield in Colorado is probably the hardest outfield to defend because there is so much ground to cover and it is so big because of, you're in Colorado, you're a mile high, 5,280 feet up. So you do need athletic guys to field. That's why you had guys like Randall Grichuk out there. But there's just nothing in this lineup that actually gets me going.
What about, I like Nolan Jones. I think he's going to have a 25 home run, 20 stolen base type season.
But that's the funny thing is that's finding gold in a pile of trash, or finding something remarkable. And it's very this team is bad.
I'm not denying that, but I do think there is some talent in this roster. Chris Bryant. If Chris Bryant plays a full season, which I know is easier said than done,
he's dead.
He's one of the better. You think he's cooked?
He's cooked. Have you seen his numbers?
He's been
he had a negative 1.2 WAR last year. He had a negative base running score. His WRC plus was 73. His batting average was 233. His batted ball was 270. He had a 20% K rate. And he hasn't shown anything in spring training that shows that he's been improving like that. And the year before that, in 2022, he had a 306. But at the same time, it's kind of everything. He's over 30. He looks cooked. And the money that he's owed, and it's so sad because he was so good in Chicago that I kind of feel I feel like he can have a Cody Bellinger arc, but he just needs to get out of Colorado. The only problem is he signed a 7-year, $182 million deal. Who is going to take a $26 million hit? Unless Colorado is eating the contract and a big team needs a third baseman, I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, and I don't even know if he can play third base anymore. They got him listed as their first baseman.
Yeah, well, he was third base, and it's sad. He played 42 and 22, and he played 80 in last year. It's he hasn't shown anything that to show anything. In 2020, he was awful too. In the Mickey Mouse season,
and he's only 32. It's not like he's 43, 44. He's theoretically could still be in the prime of his career, but yeah, for whatever reason, he's kind of he went to Colorado and fell off the face of the earth, unfortunately. I think there was an article Athletic about him a few weeks back, and he was just talking about how it was kind of difficult to live up to all the hype that he had in Chicago, because there was truly, a ton of hype for him when he was coming up in the Cubs system, and ends up winning a World Series in Chicago and kind of just falls off the face of the earth. I mean, there was a moment in time in 2016, 2015, 2017, those Cubs prime years where he was one of the biggest names in the sport, and now he's just totally forgotten at this point, honestly.
Doesn't he have an MVP?
Yeah, he won MVP 2015. I want to say it was 2015 and
MVP. Look at his numbers. I'm looking at his numbers right now. In 15 he had a WAR in his rookie year. At 23 he had a WAR of 6.1. And then
that's insane.
And then the second year, 7.9, 7, and then he went down to 2.7 in 2018, which I think he got hurt one of these years. Yeah, he definitely got hurt because he played 102. And then he played 147, went up to 4.7. Mickey Mouse year in 2020, he was rough. And then but then in 21, he went up to a 3.1. Yeah, the numbers, there was regression there, but it's just like he went from one of the top guys to an absolute just below average, below level replacement player. It is something that needs to be studied. And I kind of feel like being in Colorado doesn't help, because Colorado is where careers go to die. And it's just this team's just hard to just they have nothing to trade for. Guys maybe, okay, you trade for a Brenton Doyle for
elite defensive center fielder.
For elite defensive, but what else are you gonna get? What else do you trade?
I like Justin Lawrence, their closer. He's actually really good. And closers are valued high, in my opinion. So maybe they could move him at the deadline, but they might want to keep a hold of him.
They have no pitchers also?
No, they have no pitchers. I mean, the rotation's Kyle Freeland, Cal Quantrill, Austin Gomber, Ryan Feltner, and Dakota Hudson. I am terrified for that rotation to have to go up against the Dodgers lineup. But they do have Chase Dollander coming up in the farm system, who is tapping back into that 2022 slider that would have had him as the number 1 overall pick. I think that's a great pick for him. He's going to be exciting to watch when he does get the call up for Colorado. Adel Amador, middle infielder prospect. He's highly rated as well. Yanquiel Fernandez, outfielder. Jordan Beck, Sterling Thompson, Zach Veen, the outfielder. They have at least they have a somewhat solid farm system. And I do think Dollander, if he gets back to that 22 slider, he can be an ace for this team. Which what was the last ace they had? Ubaldo Jimenez.
He wasn't even an ace because he ended up going to Baltimore and wasn't.
Herman Marquez. Not even an ace.
Herman, he's not an ace. Herman and Senzatella, they're still on the roster, but they got Tommy John back in May and July, both of them. So we won't see them. I mean, bro, when was the last time Colorado actually had a decent pitcher? Very good pitcher. Because I legitimately can't think of when they had a good pitcher. Off the top of my head, not without
probably hurt. I was just looking at their Baseball Reference to look at their wins. Probably Herman Marquez.
It's just such a hard.
He was an all-star.
Yeah, but that's like saying Brent Rooker was an all-star. No disrespect, but they had to send somebody.
It's true.
It's just tough to pitch in a place where altitude, where it's just you literally have to build a rotation of strikeout guys. Because if you have flyout guys, it's not going to work. Because it's such a park that the ball just travels. And yes, there's a lot of space, but man,
all right, too much Rockies talk.
We're trying to get Joe to tap in back in the podcast, because I feel like Joe hasn't listened to the podcast, so I feel like we've given him enough fodder to listen to.
We just talked about the Twins on the last one. So anyway, Rockies number is 60.5.
Under
on DraftKings. Under, okay.
They're just terrible. They're the worst team in baseball. Down there with the A's. They're right there. I think I would like to see the MLB just needs to do an in-season tournament with I just want to watch A's versus the White Sox, and then Rockies. Those 3 teams, and then whatever team, maybe what was the other team? Not the Royals, because the Royals could actually show up. I don't know, but those 3 teams just need to duke it out for whatever it's like worst in class. And the thing is, for the draft, I don't even think they have a top 5 pick. I think they got like screwed over in draft order this year because of the whole, because now they do the lottery because the Reds jumped up and the Guardians jumped up. Oh, they got third. Yeah, but it's just like in a draft where there's no like, sure thing, man.
Yeah, I think the White Sox could be worse than this team now that they lost Cease, which unfortunately we did our over-under predictions before Cease got moved. And I had the over 63.5. For this team, the Rockies 60.5. They won 59 last year, and I'm actually going to go over. I think they can win 61 to 62 games. I like some of this the hitters in the lineup.
Why?
And I think I like Nolan Jones. I think he can develop into a star. I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to be optimistic on Chris Bryant. I think he can turn it around this year. I'm going to be optimistic on Brendan Rodgers coming back for a full season.
Over under 60 games for Brendan Rodgers this year.
Easy over. He had a freak accident in spring training where he was like sliding head first and popped his shoulder out. Had to get surgery, and he came back later in the season. So I think over 60.5. It's not like I'm saying they're going to win 75, 80 games. Like they'll probably win 65. They're not good. I know they're in a tough division, but you play your division opponents less nowadays, so that's a positive. And I don't know. They might be a little bit more fun to watch this year than they were last year. All right, let's move on to the next team, the San Francisco Giants. They were active this offseason, one of the more active teams.
They still could be active still. That's the thing.
Yeah. So you wanna dive into this, talk about what they did this offseason, what they got.
So they finished in my opinion, they finished they were the runner-ups in the whatchamacallit, in the offseason World Series. They were the runner-ups next to the Dodgers. Of course, San Francisco's been a really tough place to recruit free agents, not for a baseball standpoint, but from a living perspective. If you guys live under a rock, I mean, San Francisco is one of the toughest places to live in due to the amount of money you need and taxes in California. It's one of the most expensive places to live in the whole country. They made some big moves, so it's clearly the end of an era with this team because Brendan Crawford, he's like the last guy from those great Giants teams, got moved on. He left in free agency. As we said, he went on to sign with the Cardinals. And, there's no Belt, there's no Posey, there's no Crawford. So now it's really different. Right now, penciled in at center field is Jung-Ho Lee, who's quite interesting. He quite projects to be a high average on-base type of guy. So it'll be interesting to see how he transitions from the KBO. He's already become a fan favorite out there with what he said. So it'll be interesting for his one-liners and, press conferences. A guy I personally like as a player is Jairo Estrada. He's been a very decent player out there.
Former Yankee prospect.
Yeah. Lamont Wade Jr. is right now penciled in at first. Jorge Soler, the DH, the Cuban Missile. Well, that's Cespedes, but he'll probably hit some nukes out to the Bay. Probably that's probably the best power hitter they've had in a long time.
They haven't had a 30, and everyone talked about this when they signed him. They haven't had a 30 home run season from a player since Barry Bonds.
That's what I'm saying.
It's definitely the best power bat they've had in a decade, easily.
Then they got Conforto, who, we'll see if he bounces back, and Matt Chapman, Yastrzemski, Patrick Bailey, who I think is a very underrated catcher from a defensive standpoint. If you can get the bat going, it'll be really nice. Tom Murphy off the bench, Austin Slater, Wilmer Flores. They just have a bunch of their lineup doesn't scream names, but they got a bunch of like really, really like, quality MLB. Like, for example, if you're a contending team and you had Tyra starting at second, you wouldn't like be pressed to find a replacement. Like, you would like one, but it's just like, all right, if I have to go to the playoffs and start with Tyra Estrada, I'm cool with that. Same thing with like, Wilmer Flores or Tom Murphy off the bench. You're not going nutty off of that. The clearest thing with this team is the rotation's kind of a work in progress. I mean, they did spend money with Jordan Hicks. They have top prospect Kyle Harrison, who's the lefty, who should be in the opening day roster. Logan Webb, who I personally like as a pitcher. And they're waiting on Robbie Ray, who was traded for Mitch Haniger, and Alex Cobb to come off of a injury.
Yeah. And Robbie Ray coming off that Tommy John should be back mid-season. Same with Cobb.
And so this team is they're interesting, and I personally am very high on their pen. Their pen is when they built this pen back when Kepler was the manager, Gabe Kapler, not Max Kepler, that's the Twins outfielder. They built them with a bunch of just weird angled like slot guys that you can like probably expand on from a hitter's perspective, like how transitioning from a 3/4 court to a submarine to then, another arm slot angle. And so from perspective. And then the biggest thing is right now on their 40-man, they do have an opening on their 40-man. And Blake Snell is still available. They've been interested in Blake Snell, and they were present at the bullpen session that he threw the other day. And I think it was Arizona and Florida, someplace. They were one of the 5 teams present. And I mean, they do need innings eaters right now in the rotation till guys like Cobb and Ray come back.
Yep. So that was a lot, but I will say I would love to see Snell in San Francisco. I would much rather see him go to the Giants than to the Astros, which is the other team that he's linked with right now. To the arm slot thing that they have going on in the bullpen, I agree. They have a bunch of guys coming at different arm slots. Makes it really, really tough for a hitter to adjust, especially if you're, every at bat in the later parts of the game, you're seeing a guy with a different arm slot. Like, in my opinion, as a righty hitting against a submarine right-handed pitcher, there's nothing harder. I mean, the ball looks like it's coming from behind you. If a guy's throwing 85, it looks like he's throwing 95. So I do like how they did that. Significant advantage for sure. You mentioned the rotation. Don't love Jordan Hicks coming over and coming in as a starter. I think he's much better as a reliever, and they're asking him to pitch a lot with Robbie Ray and Alex Cobb hurt to start the season. He's going to need to pitch, get deep into games, and I just don't know if he's going to be able to. I wouldn't be shocked if they end up moving him back into the bullpen at some point in this season. This is a team that had the least amount of innings pitched amongst starting pitchers last year, so they go out and sign a converted reliever to be a starter. Bit of a head scratcher. Could work out. What do I know? Kyle Harrison, their star prospect, left-handed pitcher, as their number 2 guy. He's going to need to have a big season with a lot of pressure on him in his second season in the big leagues. And then Logan Webb. I mean, you kind of glanced over Logan Webb, second in Cy Young voting last year in the National League. I think he's primed to win the Cy Young in the National League this year with Corbin Burns gone, with Blake Snell potentially gone as well. He's one of the best ground ball pitchers in all of baseball. 62.7% ground ball rate last year. And who do they bring in? They bring in freaking Matt Chapman at third base, who's the best defensive or one of the best defensive third basemen in all of baseball. I think that is a huge, huge, huge plus for Logan Webb, and I think he's a great pick for Cy Young this year. So I'm excited to watch him pitch. I think he's, for as good as he's been in San Francisco, he is still incredibly underrated just because a lot of people don't watch West Coast ball. It's hard late at night. But he's really fun to watch. So
I like the way he's a ground ball guy. His changeup is very nice, and the way he puts the changeup and just induces so many ground balls that it's like any pitch is fast. So if you're just casual like that, just wants to get in and out and watch quality, like he has a good pace to him. He just gets it going. I like him. a lot.
Yeah, and he's not a velo guy or anything. His fastball is 92 miles per hour average,
something like that.
Yeah, he throws his changeup 41% of the time, and it's fastball, changeup, slider. And he's, like you said, he's pretty. It's not fancy, but he gets ground balls and he gets guys out, which is great. At a big ballpark like that. So, yeah.
Well,
and Camilo Duvall out of the pen, one of the best closers in all of baseball as well.
And he has that arm slot, that crazy arm slot, and he pitches fast too.
Yep.
So I mean, man, the biggest thing with this team is like, okay, like are the bats going to provide enough offense? A, and B, is that rotation going to hold up? Because I personally think their bullpen is World Series quality. Like, I think they're one of the best bullpens in the game. It's not it's not names wise like a Houston where you got a Hader, Graveman, and Houston just has a bunch of just starters that become relievers during the playoffs. But I mean, San Francisco just does miracles with relievers. It's like Yankees always have 1 year, some guy, their player development has like one player that ends up becoming ridiculous. Like, not ridiculous, but they end up like fixing. It was Clay Holmes 1 year, another year was Tauchman. They always have like a bat that they like fixed. Another year was Willie Calhoun. They revived the careers, so
for like a couple of weeks.
Matt Carpenter.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, but that's just San Francisco. San Francisco just does things in a way just like Tampa. They just revive pitchers.
And they also brought in a new manager, Bob Melvin.
And that's what I was going to touch on. I think he's top 5 in the game right now. I feel like San Diego was just not the best fit for what they wanted to do. And him back in the area, I feel like they'll be great. It's just a matter. It's just like, all right, you're hinging your lineup on Jung Ho Lee actually being okay. It's not a lot of pressure, but it's just being okay. And, Soler hitting bombs and Chapman being okay. I would personally like them to like get another bat. They're a bat and an arm away from being there.
Yeah. And the number for them is 81.5.
And I'll personally take the over on this one. I like the Giants. I like what they do. I like Melvin as a manager. I like the way their organizations run. They get a lot of flack for missing on free agent guys, but they weren't reckless like Detroit was a couple years ago with the Javi Baez deal, the Eduardo Rodriguez. Like, they wanted a guy, but they knew like what their limits were. They didn't go out and overspend on Cody. They didn't go out and give Aaron Judge a monster deal. So,
yep. I'm going to take the over as well. I think they've had a shrewd offseason. They haven't given out any bad contracts. They bring in Matt Chapman to play really good defensive third base. They bring in Jung Hoo Lee, who I think is going to play a good center field and hopefully hit for some average out there in San Francisco.
We're talking about Colorado?
No, sorry. And I think Logan Webb, Cy Young candidate. My worry is like everyone else besides Logan Webb in the rotation. They need to get Robbie Ray back ASAP. They need to get Alex Cobb back. And if those guys can come back firing, I think they're going to be really good. So
I'll even say this: if they sign Blake Snell, and I'm not saying they get Cy Young Blake Snell, but I'm just saying they get like good Blake Snell. Like, you could sprinkle some money on them for winning division.
That would be really, you think? Because
if you think about it, the Dodgers have a lot of moving parts. And like additions, a lot of moving parts. Their rotation's kind of like, I don't want to say a mess, but it's just like, we'll talk about it later. We don't know who the 5 are. Like, it could start out as the 5 like right now, but at the end of the season, there could be like, you can have we'll talk about it later. You can have your guy.
With the Dodgers? Yeah.
Yeah, you can have 5 different dudes. The Padres and that's the team we'll talk about next. We'll talk about
Wait. Did I get my pick? I went over, right?
Yeah, I think you did.
Okay. Yeah, I went over. Yeah.
Yeah,
so we're both over on the Giants, 81.5.
and that's what I'm saying. You can sprinkle money on them for division because
Yeah.
Arizona's going to be. Arizona's going to have to repeat their magic, and they're not going to be able to just come up on teams like they did last year.
Okay. You want to talk Padres next?
Then? Yeah, and the whole thing about the Padres is like, I think the Padres admitted to themselves that that the whole experiment failed. The Soto experiment all failed, and they had to cut costs. And because they went so overboard on their spending with these $300 million contracts, you can go and this. I'll give you the floor. Who are their utility guys? Their fifth outfielder, fourth or fifth outfielder. Who's a swing starter? Who's their rotation? Who is like their bullpen?
I think it's going out for the Padres and getting all of these big names, big contracts, making big trades was a lot because of Peter Seidler, the owner that passed away this offseason. Really wanted to, and he was sick, and he really wanted to see a World Series in his lifetime. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, and this was kind of the first offseason, without him, where we saw, some cost cutting. They still did make a big trade, but they lost a ton this offseason. They're going to lose Blake Snell. They lost Seth Lugo. They lost Josh Hader, Gary Sanchez, Michael Wacha, Nick Martinez, Rich Hill, Garrett Cooper, Luis Garcia, Matt Carpenter, Ji-Man Choi, Austin Nola. All of those guys are gone. Drew Pomeranz. I mean, they've lost so much talent. They were a team that struggled in the first half, 43-47 in the first half, and really turned it on in September, went 19-7, 20-7 if you count September and October, and finished, a couple games out of a wild card spot. They were pushing for it at the end of the season. They got hot. It didn't work out. They trade Juan Soto, and they lose a bunch of talent this offseason. And they had a relatively quiet offseason, bringing in, a couple relievers.
Usa Go, baby. They got Usa Go, who will be competing for the closer position.
They got Woo-Suk Go, which I got to say is probably the best name in all of baseball. They brought in Yuki Matsui as well. They actually made a good signing. They signed Wandy Peralta from the Yankees, who I think that was a good pickup for their pen. And then obviously made the Juan Soto trade where they got Michael King, Yoni Brito, and Kyle Higashioka. Ended up shipping Drew Thorpe, who they got in that trade, back to Chicago for Dylan Cease, who slots in to be probably the number 3 starter behind Yu Darvish and Joe Musgrove, which, I mean, you talk about Joe Musgrove, like, he has the talent. He can show it. He showed it in the 2022 National League Wildcard Series against the Mets. But can he put it together for the course of a 162-game season? That remains to be seen. Yu Darvish, I think he might be cooked at this point in his career. No offense. I mean, he's 38 this season, and the numbers just keep getting worse. I'm not a big Yu Darvish guy. Never have been. And then going back to what you said, the lineup is pretty much the same. They have the big boppers of Bogarts, Tatis, Cronenworth, Machado, and Kim. Great top 5. I'd put that off a cliff. And then it falls off a cliff. I mean, Graham Pauley, Luis Campusano, Jurickson Profar. And I'm excited, though, because center field, it looks like their top prospect, Jackson Merrill, is going to be running center field. He was wearing number 70 in spring training, and then they're out in Korea right now for the Seoul Series. And he changed his number to number 3, which makes it seem that he is going to make the big league roster on opening day, which is exciting because I think he has some good potential.
That is a jump. The thing is like there's just no quality. There's just no quality on this freaking team. I mean,
you're talking about depth-wise, right?
Depth-wise, and I mean, like, either it's like, will Michael King and Johnny Brito be the same dudes from New York? There's 5 organizations in Major League Baseball that do things that you have to show pause to. The Yankees, the Astros, and the Rays are the first 3 that come to mind. Will they be able to do it? God knows what.
Yeah.
Nobody knows. And I mean, if Michael King is a starter and does great, awesome. But we haven't seen it. He's been a great setup man, which I'm kind of shocked you guys traded him because I feel like he could have been a great closer.
Yeah, but I mean, you kind of got to do what you got to do to get Juan Soto if he's available.
And the thing is, they gave up peanuts for Dylan Cease.
I was stunned when I saw that trade happen. What day was that?
They must be really high on Jairo Ararte and Samuel Zavala, which I mean, those are 3 top 10 prospects on both FanGraphs. It's just, it's just harder for some teams to trade, and it's just everybody, in the industry has different projections on guys. So they could have been really high on Ararte and Zavala than Thorpe. And it's just like, I mean, I don't understand why the White Sox traded him this early. So, I mean, it's kind of like a desperation move, in my opinion. But back to the Padres, I mean, a lot was lost, and there's just no depth on this team. There's no depth. And so it's going to be very interesting how their back half of the rotation and the back half of the lineup actually does. Because it's a little 5-man lineup. No disrespect. But
they got it is a 5-man lineup. Unless Jackson Merrill breaks out. They got Tyler Wade on a minor league deal. My guy.
Tyler Wade has literally bounced around the Angels, A's, and the Padres. Like, I think that tells you enough.
He's becoming a great immaculate grid guy at this point.
But that's what I'm telling you. It just tells you enough of what he is in this league.
Yep. Yeah.
If you are starting for the Angels in August or September, we know what you are.
Also, can we talk about Jake Cronenworth? Like, he signed that deal. He had that one season, I think it was 2021, where he was an all-star, and it hasn't really come together after that. And he was looking like this great utility guy, and it seemed like Kim turned into that, and Cronenworth wasn't.
Talk about it.
I just think it's interesting. I've always been a Cronenworth guy because he went to Michigan. Which you don't really see many Michigan guys succeed in at the major league level.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing is Kim might have to get moved at the deadline as well because they won't have the money. It makes I don't get why they traded for Cease. It doesn't.
I don't get it either. It did not follow their offseason mold at all.
He has 2 years of control, so I don't know what their contracts look like right now. I don't know who's off the books. Is somebody going to be off the books so they can pay it, or are we just going to go redo the Soto? Because essentially what they just did was Soto for Cease, straight up.
Pretty much, with some other arms surrounding it. But yeah, that was the crux of what happened this offseason.
And I mean, they're and that's what I'm saying. The arm is really good, but at the same time, I'm just like, why don't you just wait? You just trade 2 or 3 of your top guys and just bring your young guys up.
Yeah, I love their farm system with Ethan Salas, the catcher, 17 years old, tearing it up, and Jackson Merrill. They also got 2 arms, Robbie Snelling and Dylan Lesko, coming up that are thought highly of. Another interesting thing with this team is they have 2 superstar shortstops not playing shortstop, with Xander Bogaerts and Fernando Tatis Jr. on mega deals, and they're playing second base and right field.
I mean, I don't know. I just don't get it. I just don't. I don't have much to say because it's one of these teams that it's very hard to project because you can obviously see them going crazy because of the guys that they have in their lineup, but then you can obviously see them just being not that good. They're 1 or 2 injuries away from just being like, I don't want to say cellar dwellers, but like they're just 1 or 2 injuries from just struggling, like being like an Angel struggling at the back half of a wild card spot. And I mean, I understand teams just want to make the wild card because of the revenue that you get from becoming a wild card team. So maybe that's their play. Maybe they're doing all these moves just to like at least try to get to the wild card, get that wild card revenue money, and slowly but surely like replenish and wait for these guys to like mature. Cut down on spending, wait for the revenue to hit, and then you can just go frugal buying, like they've done with their bullpen. Which I don't know. I haven't seen Musa go or Matsui in their whatchamacallit. And I haven't seen their YouTube clips. I haven't chopped up a clip, so I really don't know. It really dependent on how they look. I mean,
I think you made the key point. Like, if they're an injury to one of their star guys, any of them, one of them, Machado, Tatis.
well, that's what happened last year. Machado wasn't it last year that he started at NL MVP hitting like 330, 350, and then he sprained his ankle out for the month, and then Tatis wasn't playing because he was popped for PEDs, and then who's left? You had Xander, which I mean Xander's a great player, but Xander's not going to be Xander's a good sidekick. No disrespect, but he's a good like 1B type of guy. He's not going to be the type of guy that leads your lineup.
So the depth could really hurt this team. The number's 83.5. I think I can tell where you're leaning. They won 82 last year, and they lost a lot.
I want to hear you.
I'm over on the Giants and the Rockies. I think this team, they lost the Cy Young winner. They lost an MVP candidate. And they brought in Dylan Cease, who could be good, but we don't know. I mean, he wasn't good last year, so I'm going under. 83.5 is just a little too rich for my blood. I believe it went up a couple wins after the Cease trade, but I'm going under on that.
It's just like Cease, man. You've been pitching in Chicago for the White Sox. Yeah, I'm taking the under. I wanted to say the over, and it's just interesting. The timing of the whole Cease trade is so interesting. It's just like, why did Texas check in? What's going on in Chicago? Why now?
I mean, if he starts the season sucking, his value falls even more.
You're a week away from the season. Why a week away?
I guess the Padres really wanted him. I don't know. We don't know what their other offers were looking
like. It wasn't at the but it's just like this wasn't like a pick up a cold call. This call was probably because they learned something about something. Because the Rangers picked up the phone and the Yankees picked up the phone. You understand why the Yankees picked up the phone? But why would the Yankees pick up the phone in the first place?
Because Garrett Cole.
But there has to be something else. You're a week away from the season.
I think with the Yankees, it's pretty simple. It was because Garrett Cole.
It's like in fantasy baseball. You draft the lineup. You don't trade. Like nobody trades a week like after the draft.
I don't know.
There's something going on there.
All right, let's move on to the D-backs. 84 and 78 last year. They obviously were the wild card. They made it to the World Series. They lost to the Rangers. They had a really good offseason. I mean, there's no other way to put it. I was impressed with what they did. They brought in a Eugenio Suarez from Seattle, who strikes out more than anybody in the league, but can hit for some power, which is something that they were missing last year. They bring in Jock Peterson from San Francisco as a free agent. They made a solid non-roster invitee signing. Tucker Barnhart, good defensive catcher, won a Gold Glove in Cincinnati as a free agent. They obviously signed Eduardo Rodriguez to the rotation, which I think is great because we saw that they were really missing a number 3 starter in the postseason last year. So now you're looking at a rotation of Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, Eduardo Rodriguez, Brandon Pfaadt, and Ryan Nelson. A lot stronger than it was last year. Pretty solid. Their pen is going to be the same, but it was a strength for them last year. Paul Sewald closing games. Kevin Ginkel, Michael Castro, Andrew Saalfrank, Scott McGough, Ryan Thompson, I like him, Joe Mantiply, and Luis Frias. They also signed Randall Grichuk this offseason as a free agent, by the way. He's just hurt right now. And then, the lineup obviously saw a lot of them in the postseason last year. Corbin Carroll coming in for his sophomore season. Ketel Marte. Both those guys were on my fantasy team last year and helped me win the title. Just saying. Gabriel Moreno, Christian Walker, Jock Peterson, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., Eugenio Suarez, Alec Thomas, friend of the pod. Not actually friend of the pod, but we've always been high on Alec Thomas. And Geraldo Perdomo, who was an all-star last season.
They had. I'm reading their the depth chart. They have some absurd their minor league system is absurd. Like their non-roster invites are pretty surprising. Oh my god.
Jordan Lawler.
No, I'm just saying, yeah, we obviously know we have their prospects, but non-roster invites, Elvis Andrews, Kevin Newman. Like honestly, Kevin Newman wasn't great on the Reds last year, but they were MLB quality guys. Jake McCarthy, who was playing there in Arizona last year for a lot of the time. He was a big speed guy. He's now in the minors in AAA. Pavin Smith. I mean, he hasn't shaped up to what he's top 7 in the draft. Logan Allen, who started a lot of games in Cleveland. Wow.
And I do like I like their prospect list. Jordan Lawler, I saw him debut in Wrigley last year. He's going to be good. Tommy Troy, shortstop, going to be good.
Stanford.
Drew Jones, I don't really know what's going on with him. He kind of has been injured, struggled. He was the number 1 pick.
You never liked him. You've always been not anti, but like I don't want to say you've been anti, but you've been just kind of you didn't like the profile from the jump, the roster, the player profile.
I didn't like the swing. It just didn't look like the swing was big league ready. Not that I expect anybody to be big league ready in high school, but you do see some of these high school guys that get picked really early in the draft. You're like, I can see this guy playing in the big leagues. I don't know. I just didn't really see it with Drew Jones. It was always, he is a very good defensive center fielder. He's as good as his dad was as a center fielder right now, but the bat's going to have to come along, and it just hasn't. And he's been hurt, which sucks. So they also have Yumin Lin, the left-handed pitcher, who's highly thought of as well in their farm system. So I'm high on this team. They're in the World Series last year. And like my biggest question for them personally is, can Erod be a really good 3 guy? Can Brandon Pfaadt continue to develop? But more importantly, is Corbin Carroll going to play at the level that he did last year in his sophomore season? Because if he does, he's A, an MVP candidate, and B, that's huge for their team. They're going to be really good again. Or if he goes into a sophomore slump, it's kind of like I can see this team going as Corbin Carroll goes. He is that good. I mean, he's a 30-30 caliber player.
But I disagree. I think this team is very good. When you look at like what they lost, they lost. They didn't lose anything. They just added.
Well, they lost. They did lose Zach Davies and Evan Longoria, but
Zach Davies Zach Davies has a minor league deal with the Nationals. I think that tells you a lot. And then Evan Longoria, yes, he's a great player, but his best days are behind him, and he was more of a locker room guy. And
he was a locker room guy for them.
And that's what Corbin said in Bleacher Report walk off. You have Erod, who I think if he's a 3 guy, which I think that's not bad being a 3 guy. And then you add Eugenio Suarez, which I mean could be it could be a good addition, but a subtraction if his bat doesn't live up. But like regardless, I feel like a lot of what the Diamondbacks are going to happen this year is going to be dependent on some of their players replicating their successes. For example, Gerardo Perdomo was an all-star last year. Corbin Carroll was great. Ketel Marte is great, but it's going to depend on their other guys like taking the step. I'm a Christian Walker guy, but he was awful in the playoffs. Gabriel Moreno has to. It's just like I said, their other guys just got to step up, and that's what's just kind of concerning. So I would like ideally they could be a team. I feel like the rotation's okay. Maybe a swing starter away, maybe like a Michael Lorenzen away. But in reality, I think it's okay. Their team just needs to grow up a little bit more, and maybe another I think they're fine. I think they're a very, very good team. In reality, they just gotta wait for their kids to like grow up and their prospects to just get more mature. So I could totally see them just doing really good things. I mean, they're not gonna. Sorry. Haven't slept much at all the past couple weeks. God, I'm super sorry.
Man.
But I totally feel like this team could. They're not gonna creep up on anybody. but I feel like their kids need to take that next step. That's what it's dependent on, taking the next step.
Yeah, I'll be excited to see if Jordan Lawler takes over at short full time for Perdomo, because I think he's really good. I think he's really good, and I think he's too good. He's at the point where he's too good to be in the minor leagues.
Well, he just got optioned. That's what's crazy last week.
I know. I just think he's too good to be down there. But I like the Jock Peterson, Randall Grichuk kind of platoon that they're going to have going. Jock Peterson for righties, Randall Grichuk for lefties. They got better. I mean, they made the World Series and they got better over the offseason. And their number is 83.5. They won 84 last year.
He's this team is fast also. Very fast.
Very fast.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the over. They didn't have losses, and I kind of feel like they've learned. I mean, they're gonna be a really good team. I mean, I expect a lot from them. Like I said, this could be. They have the potential to be this year's what should we call it? They have the potential to be this year's Seattle. If that's a caution. If their bats just don't play well.
Yeah, that's a good comp. That's a really good comp.
They have. That's the thing. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Like I said, everybody has to take a little step up. I'm not saying you have to see meteoric rises, but I kind of feel like to get the 83.5.
Man, you okay?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. It's just 2:00. I might just need another coffee, but I'm all right. Another coffee. Yeah, Pod. It's been in contention. I know we're getting off topic of my sleep schedule. I mean,
it has been a point of contention in the group chat.
Yeah, I'm up working, reading stats till 1:00 in the morning, and then I'm up at 6. So
hey, we just care about your health. That's all. That's the only reason.
Maybe if we can get a sponsorship for a coffee, maybe we can get a sponsorship.
Folgers, not a sponsor, could be. Starbucks, maybe. Sponsor could be.
Hey, Starbucks, do love me some Starbucks, some Starbsies.
Better Health, not a sponsor, could be. They do a lot of podcast advertising. Anyways, so you're over the 83.5. They are good, but there's this thought in the back of my mind, there is a massive regression possible here. If the Diamondbacks didn't make that run to the World Series last year and their number was still 83.5, are we easily going over? Just because they got hot for a couple weeks in October, now everyone all of a sudden is all in on this team as World Series contenders.
I don't think they're World Series contenders. I don't think they're World Series contenders, but I do feel like we've always been on them at 8, and 83.5 does seem like a good number. They win 90 easily if they're in their Central. They got the World Series and they win 90 in the Central. They win 90 in both Centrals. They win 90 in the other West, probably close to 90. They went over 83. It's just the only thing that gives you pause is that they do have a division with the Dodgers, the Padres, and the Giants. Which, I mean, in comparison, you can look at those teams. And if you're telling me, let's just put it out there. I think we don't need to talk about much about this team when we get to them, but the Dodgers are the best team in this division just by talent. I
got to make my pick first.
What's up?
I got to make my pick. I haven't officially made my pick yet.
Yeah, but that's for later. But that's what I'm saying. They're the class of the division. So then you're picking, and the Rockies are going to be the worst team. So then you're just picking what 2, 3, 4 are. Who is the safest pick to finish second?
The safest pick, I think, would be the Diamondbacks.
Exactly. And who are you more comfortable just roster-wise picking second?
The D-backs, I think, but I like what the Giants did. I'm really bullish on the Giants for some reason.
I do too, but the thing about it is the Padres, when you look at those 3 teams, the Padres have the highest ceiling out of those 3. If everything goes right, they have the highest ceiling. The highest floor is the Giants. No, not the Giants, the Diamondbacks. The highest floor.
Because they're not going to lose 90 games. You could see the Giants end up losing that many, I think.
They're not going to lose 90, and the rotation has the least question marks.
Yep. I
And
agree with that.
like they're just a safe pick.
They have a good manager. They were 32 and 39 in the second half last year.
32 and 39, but they have more arms this year. They got Seawald as a closer, and you think about it, their lineup better in a way.
Yeah, okay. I'm over. 83 and a half is just that's too low for me. I think they can win 90 games. Yeah, that's over.
And it doesn't, and like they haven't been afraid to make a move. So they have pieces in their farm where maybe like a Tommy Troy gets moved because he could just be blocked off unless they see him as a second baseman of the future. And they go get out an outfielder, a DH, or a corner baseman, a third baseman. Like there's ways that you can improve this roster. I don't think anybody on this roster is safe, and they showed that last year with trading Josh Rojas, which Josh Rojas was one of their big utility guys who did a lot of, and they weren't afraid to make that move. I would have loved to see them get Rhys Hoskins maybe at the deadline if Christian Walker doesn't play well. And that'd be a decent power bat, or maybe pick up another outfielder like a center fielder. Maybe, I don't know.
But we like Alek Thomas, at least defensively.
Defensively, yes, but you know, when you're at this point in this team, you got to start building for the future. You have to start building, like you see guys like Gurriel. Gurriel's not going to be there in 4 or 5 years. He's too old.
Yeah,
but I could see them get an outfielder. Right now, I don't have anybody in the top of my head coming right now, but I was trying to just put a name.
If the Yankee season, here's a good one. If the Yankee season crashes and burns, Juan Soto.
No,
Juan Soto as a rental.
They don't have the money. I don't think
they don't need the money. They just trade a few prospects. Tommy Troy.
But I don't think they would tank a season, and I think the Yankees would actually want. Well, nobody knows what the Yankees like. They just have a weird model of prospects that they like because they're always against they're always against industry norm, but they always have guys that are like lower in the industry that actually like develop better. Like Johnny Brito. Johnny Brito was one of the top 5 prospects in the Yankee system, and I mean, I don't say he's a world beater, but he's a very quality MLB starter. He's a good swing arm.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So we're both over on the Diamondbacks, and we're moving into the last team, the Los Angeles Dodgers. They spent over $1 billion in free agency. They won 100 games last year when it was play the kids year, as we said, heading into the season. They lose really no one of importance. Lance Lynn, Ahmed Rosario, David Peralta.
They lost Julio.
We got to talk about Urias. They lost Urias. They re-signed Kershaw. They bring in Jason Hayward again. JD Martinez is still a free agent. They re-signed Ryan Brazier. They re-signed Joe Kelly. Obviously, they signed Shohei Ohtani. They signed Yamamoto. They trade for Tyler Glass now to revamp that bullpen. And they also signed Teoscar Hernandez to their outfield. So you are looking at a murderer's row. This is as good as the 1920-something Yankees with Mookie Betts, number 1, Shohei Ohtani, number 2, and Freddie Freeman, number 3. I mean, 3 MVPs. It doesn't get much better than that. And then the second half of the lineup, it could go either way. I mean, you have Will Smith, Max Muncy, Teoscar Hernandez, James Outman, Jason Hayward, and Gavin Lux. Interesting dilemma this spring with Gavin Lux running shortstop, looking like he's not the guy there. So they move Mookie to short full-time, which is crazy. And then they have Gavin Lux as their full-time second baseman right now. What can't Mookie Betts do? I mean, he is truly one of the most incredible players I've seen in my lifetime. I can't believe the Red Sox traded him for nothing at this point. And then on the bench, you got Chris Taylor, you got Enrique Hernandez, Kike Hernandez, Miguel Rojas, and Austin Barnes. The rotation is going to be Tyler Glasnow, Yamamoto, Bobby Miller, Gavin Stone, and Michael Grove as Walker Buehler, Tony Gonsolin, Clayton Kershaw, Dustin May, and Emmett Shaheen are all injured right now. Buehler should be back. Gonsolin's out for the season. Kershaw should be back like in August. Dustin May is out for the season, I believe, and then Emmett Shaheen is just shoulder soreness right now. The pen, I think there's some question marks on the pen.
They got some of my favorite pitchers in the pen. Sorry, I just had to say.
I like Evan Phillips.
I like, but you know, talking about my guy, Brusdar, Gratterall. That's crazy.
You've always been a guy.
That trade gave the Dodgers Gratterall. Gratterall has closer stuff.
He does.
Yeah.
I think he does, but I think he's better as like a setup man or a seventh inning guy where there's less pressure on him. For whatever reason, I just don't feel confident when he comes into close games.
And then Joe Kelly's very good. Like, they literally 7th and 8th are pretty much locked up between Kelly and Gratterall when healthy.
Yes.
It's just I haven't watched a lot of Evan Phillips. My biggest thing is what is their rotation going to look like? They don't have like 5 guys. They have a lot of young players, and they're expecting jumps from Stone, Miller, and then Michael Grove, and then Shaheen and Kershaw and Buehler. It's just like, what is their rotation? Like, what is going on?
Well, I think we'll see what Yamamoto looks like. A lot of people,
you know how I feel about him.
You're not a Yamamoto guy. I like Yamamoto. I think he's going to be.
You like him after getting shelled twice?
Again, I put 0 stock into spring training. Talk to me after he pitches, a few months in the big leagues. Tyler Glasnow can very well win a Cy Young if it all comes together. It's a matter of exactly. It's a matter of it all actually coming together and him staying healthy, which is something that he's struggled with. Bobby Miller, I think he's really good, but he's only 25 years old. So, and he's barely pitched at the big league level. We'll see what happens. Gavin Stone, very young. Michael Grove, also very young. So there is some pressure on those guys to kind of carry the load for them early on in the season when guys like Kershaw and just, Dustin May, Emmett Shaheen, Buehler are all sidelined. So that's where the question is. The top half of the lineup is just terrifying. But I mean, I think if you're a Dodgers fan, it's like you won the offseason because you got all of these guys, but you also kind of, as a fan, lost the offseason because if your team does not win the World Series every single year under Shohei Ohtani's contract, it is an unmitigated failure, and you guys will get absolutely clowned for coming up short in October.
But this is coming from a Yankees fan who routinely was World Series champions back in the 2000s, and
I've lived it. Like, and for the past however long, like every single season the Yankees don't win the World Series is a failure. And now it's like, okay, I mean, you bring in Ohtani, you spend $700 million. Every single move that Ohtani makes is going to be scrutinized. Also, shout out, we saw his wife for the first time, former Japanese league basketball player. Shout out to Ohtani for making that go public. Good for him. Happy for him. Love Ohtani. He's
their kid is going. I'm scary. I'm scared. Our kids are fucked. Sorry for the language, but our kids are screwed.
Why?
Because they're gonna have some 6'4" kid that will be a 2-way basketball baseball player. Like, it's project. They'll have like Project Babe Ruth already produced. Project Michael Jordan. Yeah.
Those are good genes for sure.
Like, we are screwed. Like, might as well, like, your kid, baseball, we're not playing baseball. Project Ohtani, like, nah. Might as well start up Project Pirlo for me. Project Pirlo, Project De Jong, Project Pogba, start because I feel like the kid might not play soccer, so there'll be a chance. Because the kid's probably gonna be a 6'4" point guard, putting up 20 and 10. Next one, Project Wembanyama,
And then he also throws 100 from the mound.
Yeah, we're totally good. But back on this whole Dodgers thing, that the last 5 teams, ESPN put up a stat in their spring training that the last 5 teams that won the World Series in spending, that they either did not make the playoffs or they got through the DS and just got wrecked.
You're talking about like spent the most in the offseason and then the next season. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think about the Mets and the Padres last offseason. Neither of them made the playoffs.
It'd just be interesting. I mean, the thing is like the back half of the lineup is Jason Hayward. I mean, he was a reclamation project. You pretty much have him there for defense. How much of a bat is he going to be? Gavin Lux is an unproven commodity right now. They talked about some people called him about there being their Jeter. the Dodger Jeter, not like in that good, but being like a Dodger for life. Like I said, it'll be interesting. Again, Max Muncy. Again, I mean, after that MVP season, he's kind of struggled. I mean, he'll be the big bopper. Let's see, what he produces.
Teoscar Hernandez has kind of been trending
Versus
downward.
righties, he'll be left. Look,
what do you get from James Outman in year 2? Is he serviceable or does he fall off a cliff?
Look, if there's a team that, if something that isn't going right, they're not going to toilet the season. Like, they'll make a move within, like, in the deadline. Like, they'll probably be linked to every starter at the deadline because injuries happen. One, somebody's obviously not going to pan out or need more refinement, and you're a team with World Series aspirations. So you're going to be making a move regardless.
Do you think what the Dodgers are doing, spending all this money, bringing all this talent, like, is it good for the sport?
Do I think it's good? No. I feel like it's very unfair in the way that they have a clear advantage that not many teams could provide, that they're closest, one of the closest cities. I don't want to say the closest because I don't know. I know geography, but I don't know the exact mileage. They're one of the closest cities to Japan. So all the Japanese players obviously want to go play in California. When it's LA, it's Hollywood. You already have Ohtani, who's already a icon out there. So you have a clear geographical advantage that, like, Yankees can't compete, Boston can't compete, Cubs can't do it. So, I mean, they pretty much get a free run at, the Japanese guys, which I think is unfair because think about it. Do Latino players go out and actively seek to go play with other Latino players, like Dominican players go play, like, oh, I want to go play in New York? No,
not the way the Japanese players stay.
It's not, because if it was like that, Miami would be built up a freaking super team of Cubans and Dominicans. We would be like incredible, but it's like the Japanese guys, they all stick in a cult, which is kind of like unfair. And I get it, like, you don't want to do an international draft, but the Dodgers are just going to get a free run at them every year because they don't want to live in San Francisco for other reasons, cost, and the stadium's garbage. Not from a beauty perspective, but from a playing perspective. It's big. It's a pitcher's park. Seattle doesn't have the money and the funds to do it. And then who else is left? San Diego's cost cutting. So where are these Japanese going to go? Oh, let's go to the Dodgers. Ohtani's there. Cool. And you're not going to go to the Angels either because the Angels are
if they get Rosa Sasaki and Murakami. Oh my gosh! I mean, they're going to win multiple. There's going to be a dynasty.
What would you do? How would you prevent that if you're the commissioner of baseball? How do you prevent?
He has to. Like, they can't get every single.
They can't get every single Japanese guy.
And because there are, like, these guys coming over right now are the best Japanese players that are going to be coming over to baseball. And
it's just like, at this point, why is it going on? And but the only thing, and to make it even worse, they're all going to California. You see that pitcher, 17-year-old?
Oh, the guy that went to Stanford, right?
Instead of going pro, I'm gonna go pitch at Stanford. I'm gonna go pitch at
which I actually kind of like that. That's cool.
Yeah,
he's going to get drafted, and we're going to see him at a younger age instead of him, having to play a certain amount of years in the NPB.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Isn't it unfair that all these NPB guys are just going to go end up in LA? Like, the only odd one, like Shota, ends up in Chicago because he's older.
But he wasn't on the caliber of a Yamamoto or an Ohtani.
And he's older too, because Yamamoto's like 26 or something.
Like, who was the last big name guy coming over from Asia that didn't go to the West Coast?
Daisuke.
Was it Tanaka?
Daisuke and Tanaka.
Daisuke
Matsuzaka ended up in Boston, and I think that was a overhyped failed project.
Yeah, Tanaka was great. Tanaka was great for the Yankees. I loved
Tanaka,
him.
I think Tanaka got an unfair like flack. I feel like it's like they say you don't appreciate it until it's gone. So you lose something.
I think the Yankees fans did a good job appreciating him. I also just think like the Dodgers, outside of the Asian players, like they just from a spending, like I don't think a team should be able to spend so much more money than every other team. And it's not maybe it's more of a dig at the other teams for not spending than like good for the Dodgers for spending the money because they have it. It's not like, the A's or the Royals or the Guardians. It's not like they don't have money. It's not like they don't have billionaire owners.
The markets, and they don't have billionaire owners. That's the thing.
They do have billionaire owners.
Yeah, every single one to spend. But bro, the market.
But why though? They should want to spend.
But the Dodgers owners are way more richer than freaking whatever.
But if you think about it, you're the A's. You're a basement dweller. No one goes to your games. No one cares about your games. Or you're the Rays even. You're a good team. No one goes to your games. You just develop. Like, would you not think that if you just spend a ton of money, that money that you do have, you also get revenue sharing bonuses, you get luxury tax payouts, all that stuff. Like, you could spend money and then maybe more people will want to go to your games. Maybe you can build a new stadium. Maybe people will buy more merchandise because you have better players. Like, yeah, but it's good for the Dodgers for invest. Think of all the money. Like, Ohtani's deal is going to pay itself from all the merchandise they sell. Same with Yamamoto.
But you have to be fiscally and financially responsible.
I mean, the Dodgers are going to make money on Ohtani. They're not going to and they spent $700 million on the guy.
Okay, let's look at.
Are you siding with the?
I just did some Google searching. The owner of the freaking Rays, Stuart Sternberg, has a net worth of $800 million. He's the only owner of the Rays. The owner of the Dodgers is a freaking consortium. So how are you going to compete with a freaking consortium? And for people that don't know what a consortium is, it's a collection of just people with a lot of money. It's a lot of people with money that decided that, we all have an interest in one thing. Let's just all split it up instead of just all taking out like the heat. It's like literally like you're with your boys or you're with a group of friends and you're like, oh, I want pizza. Instead of you buying the pizza outright for yourself and sharing it, no, everybody pitches in and buys the pizza. So there's obviously a lot of money involved. The controlling partner of Guggenheim Baseball Management, which Guggenheim is a consortium that people are familiar. It's between Mark Walter, whose net worth is $6 billion, Todd freaking Bowley, who we don't even need to talk about Todd Bowley if you have any familiarity of what he's doing out in London at Chelsea, Peter Gruber, the CEO of Mandalay Bay, and like for people that don't know, Magic Johnson, like Billie Jean King.
I mean, there's a lot of money.
There's a whole lot of money. How do you compete with that?
It's not okay. You said the Rays owner has $800 million in net worth. He can do more than spending nothing in free agency.
Yes, but it's just like you do understand. Like, I have $800 million, but that does not mean I'm going to go spend all $800 million. Like, it's physically successful. You do not.
And also the net worth when you Google it, like it's not like he has. When you say the guy's name is Stuart Sternberg. It's not like when they Google it and he says he has $800 million net worth. Like that doesn't mean that he has exactly $800 million sitting in his bank account. Like that's just how much they estimate he's valued at. Like he probably has $1 billion. But
what I'm saying is, what do you do when you have a group of rich people that all have freaking money?
Well, the Dodgers have an advantage because they do have very powerful people in their ownership group.
And then you have LA, and then you're in LA too. Which think about it, it's hard. You have a higher.
I know. I'm just saying. I think the smaller market teams should be able to spend more than they have, especially when they're getting payouts from the league. That should help them, and they still don't spend any money. That's part of the reason that this sport struggles with competitive balance, is because these bad teams, the smaller market teams, don't try. They don't even try. Like if you're a fan of the A's, like, and your team just blatantly tells you, we don't care if we win or lose. We're moving to Vegas on top of that. Like, this is a slap in the face. It's a slap in the face.
All I'm just saying is it's just impossible. It's freaking impossible. It's the San Francisco Giants owner is a net worth of $6.4 billion, Charles Johnson. The Atlanta Braves owners is even worse. Like, It's even worse. It's freaking Liberty Media, I think, owns the Braves. Where's the owner? It's the principal owner.
And I think the fact that the Rays, sorry, I interrupted you. I think the fact that the Rays are even competitive with the amount of money they spend is absolutely phenomenal for them and speaks to their development and their scouting and all that.
Liberty Media owns the Braves. I know we're getting off topic, but Liberty freaking Media. You know who also Liberty Media owns?
Who?
They own Sirius XM Radio, Formula One, Drone Racing League. They used to own Court TV, now True TV, and Stars and Sportsnet. They literally loaded. So it's like, how are you supposed to compete? Like, it's like the Dodgers that they're spending for the game. But like I said, there's a competitive balance issue. And my biggest thing is like all these Japanese guys are just going to end up there. It's like they're Michael Jordan. You can go play with Michael Jordan. Oh, yeah. If you're a baseball player and you had the opportunity to go play with Derek Jeter, I think you would do it like in a heartbeat. And what I'm saying is like, okay, great. This team's going to do big things. And like, look, and I know we got off topic. We could probably skip the last 5 minutes. We can say that the last 5 minutes. But the whole thing is whatever the Dodgers season, okay, I'll be honest. They could not win the division. They just got to make the playoffs. Their season is going to be graded off of what they do in the postseason.
Totally, 100,000%. It's World Series or bust.
I don't care how many games they win. I don't care if they win division. It just matters. Whoa.
Your mic is unplug your mic. It's getting bad. And just use your computer audio. It was sounding like you were a robot or something.
I'm back.
End of the pod. We're almost done anyways.
Yeah, so I don't care. I don't care what they're doing. Like it just matters if they win or not. Simple as that.
So the number's 103
over. These teams
it's so high, but
the team's way too good. They're too deep. It's not like the Padres that they just like threw out. They have quality. So
yeah, I'm going over as well. It's super high, but they can win 110. But again, it doesn't matter. It all matters on what they do in October.
They'll make a trade and get some other dude, or they do another contract deferral. They have to stop contract deferrals. Like has to be something that has to go. And the funny thing is like, and I've said it in the pod, if the Yankees or Red Sox did that, they'd be crucified in the media. But
can you imagine if an NBA team did that and the cap shenanigans that they would pull and people would.
The NBA equivalent would be, for example, that'd be like, I don't know, probably like a LeBron taking a mid-level exception to go play for, I don't know.
I would say I'd say it would be KD going over to the Warriors in 2016 and the Warriors not having to pay for his deal.
No, it'd be the Warriors, him signing for mid-level exception.
Yeah,
that's the signing for,
or even the league minimum.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. But yeah, regardless, both over. Let's wrap it up. Let's wrap this up. I mean, we've been talking for an hour 30. I know we kind of got a little off base a couple minutes ago, but predictions. Give me top to bottom. Who's winning? Who's first, second, third, fourth, fifth?
I'm gonna go. Obviously, the Dodgers will win the division. Second, I'm gonna say D-backs. Third, Giants. Fourth, Pods, and fifth, the Rockies.
I'll say I wanted to go different, but the only thing I could see differently is flip-flopping 3 and 4. But I like that.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's putting way too much pressure on those Yankee dudes to actually perform.
For San Diego?
Yeah. The Brito, Wandy, they got Randy Vasquez too, and Michael King.
Defense league? Any defensive players?
Player to watch.
Brenton Doyle, Colorado, outfielder, center fielder.
Brenton Doyle. I'm gonna actually
and Chris Bryant.
Fernando Tatis. I'm expecting big.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
Fernando this year. I kind of feel like he's going under the radar. I think he might be a sneaky, comeback player of the year, maybe MVP type level season.
Yeah, he's only 25. So
yeah.
He's only 25.
just because he took PEDs, people are kind of like, oh, he took PEDs. And I'm like, yeah, okay. I understand like there's a big like morality thing involved, but I mean, doesn't stop you from being a baseball player. If I took PEDs, I couldn't hit 50 home runs like Barry fucking Bonds, Pitcher to watch.
True. Pitcher to watch, Logan Webb.
And I'll match you with that one because there's no Rockies pitcher that I like. There's no other Giants pitcher that would take Padres. I mean, maybe Dylan Cease, but I'd rather I'll go with that one as well.
I'm excited to see Brandon Pfaadt if he can. He's really good in the postseason. Can he do it for a full year in Arizona? I think that's a good one to watch too.
Defense league, pick your defense league guys.
Brenton Doyle, Jake Cronenworth. I still have Jake Cronenworth stock. I've had it since he came into the league. I got to defend my Michigan guys. I mean, Corbin Carroll, I can't, like, he's too good now. So I'd say my big ones, Cronenworth and Doyle.
I'm surprised. You didn't pick one guy. I'm very surprised. Oh my God. I can't believe you haven't picked this guy.
For what team?
Dodgers.
Who?
Oh, we forgot who the Dodgers have too. They have James Paxton in the minor leagues.
Yeah, whatever.
No, a pitcher, Ryan Pepio.
He's in Tampa Bay now. He got traded in the Glasnow move.
He did?
Yeah, he was in the Glasnow trade.
I didn't remember that.
Yeah, he's in Tampa, man, which means he's a Cy Young candidate now.
Oh, well, he'll be in defense league for next week's live pod. For me, give me defense league. I'm taking nobody on the Rocky.
Brendan Rodgers also. Brendan Rodgers defense league. I love the Rockies, baby. Let's go Rockies.
That might be your defense league team this season.
I don't know why.
Tyro Estrada, defense league on the Giants. Definitely Tyro Estrada. I love him. Love me some Tyro. Padres. I would have taken Fernando Tatis, but he's too good. But give me Ha-Seong King. I think he's a very good player. Diamondbacks. I don't see anybody on the Diamondbacks that I really want to like buy stock into. I don't really. Christian Walker. I sold my shares right on top.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's Christian. He's 33, so I don't know. Maybe too late. And then Dodgers. I mean, they're too good to buy the stocks.
Yeah,
like, it's way too high. That's like buying Apple stock now. You should have bought it like a couple of years ago. Oh, maybe Gratterall. That's who I'll take. Bruce Starr.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm ready for the Yamamoto downfall. I'm so ready.
You're anti-Yamamoto.
He's like the second or third most like bet on player on like the books for Cy Young.
Yeah, I think that's ridiculous. First year in the big leagues to win the Cy Young. I don't know about that.
And he's been shelled.
It's spring training. Spring training does not mean anything.
But he's been absolutely shelled by minor leaguers.
Okay. I'm excited to watch him. The Padres and Dodgers kick off the season on Wednesday in Korea. They'll play 2 games there on Wednesday. One on Wednesday, one on Thursday. Starts 5 a.m. Central Time, 6 a.m. Eastern. It's early.
My sleep schedule is going to be so screwed up.
You act like you're not awake at 6 a.m. anyways. So
yeah, but it's just like you guys want me to sleep, but I have to cover the game. So it's like
you don't have to. You can always catch up on the highlights. It's only 2 games.
No, but
we are getting closer to opening day. So
it's the Korea series, man. I need it.
Yeah. You got anything else before we get out?
Next one is the West. I think that's going to be an interesting one. I think there'll be
American League. Yeah.
I think that one has a lot of yo-yo teams.
Yes. The American League West will be coming on Wednesday. So stay tuned for that one. This was a lot of fun. NL West is definitely one of the better divisions in the sport. And yeah, that's it. It's all you got.
That's it.
Nothing else to say? All right,
man. Let's get it.
Thank you all for listening. Thanks you all for tuning in on the live stream. We appreciate you guys. Keep supporting, keep following us. Locked In Sports 0 on Twitter, Locked In Sports Pod on IG, and Locked In Sports Pod on YouTube. Thank you all for listening.
No Threads?
You guys. We don't have Threads. No. Threads lasted for about a week, if that. And
Facebook Live?
No Facebook. We don't have that. Maybe we should tap into the boomer market and get a Facebook, because baseball is, skews older.
How about
maybe we should?
No AOL. AIM's dead. MySpace.
I don't know. We don't have any of that stuff. But follow us on all those social media platforms and whatnot. Thank you all for listening to this episode, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode. Peace out.